Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My message this morning is titled, What is Your Plan? And I don't know about you, but I have said numerous times, God has a plan. How many people have said that? And when we say that, do you think that God really does have a plan?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So that's good. It's whatever you think, and we're going to delve into that a little bit more today. But Emerson says this, that great hearts send forth steadily the secret forces that incessantly draw great events, and wherever the mind of man goes, nature will accompany him, no matter what the path. So the secret forces, we know, when he says that, secret forces is God, right?
Yes.
And that we are a child of God, we're connected to God, so we have the ability to bring forth great things all the time. Just from this statement, we can understand that whatever the mind of man goes, nature or God will accompany him and make the path open and receptive for all we need to do. But the question becomes, why don't we always experience that greatness that we want? That path taking us like down a garden, or just always good things coming forth. Why do we have to experience anything less than that? But we do have some say in all this because we have the power of power within us, which is the power for this month of May. And the power of power is how you speak your words, or ultimately the thoughts that you have in your head. You're speaking forth what is going on in your mind. And from Fillmore's definition of 12 powers and the power for power, I took part of that definition, and here's what it says. Man is the power of God in action. Don't you love that?
Yes.
We are the power of God in action. And to man is given the highest power in the universe, the conscious power of thought, which is really cool. That's why we have to pay attention to what we're holding in consciousness, what we're thinking, what we're saying, because we have that power within us that is directly connected to God. And it goes on with, there is a universal creative force that urges man forward to the recognition of the creative power of his individual thought. So back to that universal creative force, which we know is God. Urging us to go forward, urging us to think about our thoughts and put them in the process of creative thought, of making something out of nothing is basically what he's saying. And the thing is that it sounds easy to do sometimes, but we stop ourselves all the time, don't we? We might have a creative idea or creative thought, and then we toss it aside, or we just don't act on it, or we start to act on it, and we get stopped so we don't go forward with it. And every time we do that, we're facing challenges like that every day that we need to release it and let go and know that we have that creative power within us that can take us to a newer and higher place. But how do we stay on this path and stay on this plan and move forward? From Dynamics for Living, Fillmore says, that mind which designed the universe must have planned for man, its leading citizen, a body in harmony with the universe, which is good logic. Right?
Yes.
This conclusion does not require inspiration, but merely common sense. So how many people have common sense? I'm going to say I have common sense for sure. So we know that God designed this universe for us to be able to, and the plan was for us to experience as much good as we can experience. And we have to make the decisions whether or not we're going to do that or not, or whether or not we're just going to ignore that and just wallow around in our pity pot or our everyday living and not get on that plan or that path of greater good. And when we realize these truths, it changes a whole lot for us, really, because our creative mind wants to grasp onto those great ideas from God, from the universe, and it wants to hold on to that. It doesn't want to stay in negativity. In fact, if you stay in negativity too long, you'll start feeling it in your body. You'll start feeling it and seeing it in everything you do. And when you hang on to that negativity, you are creating the opposite of what God has planned for you. So, we have to look at the omnipresence of with God and know that everywhere presence of God, which is omnipresence, is there for everybody to bring forth that creative energy, that greater good. This omnipresence is always in us, urging us forward, calling us to do and be more. You feel it. I know you do. Each and every one of you are here because you feel that urging to do something more with your life, to have some new ideas, to feel that oneness with God, to bring forth those creative ideas. And we can awaken our consciousness to this truth, and the creative mind begins to bring forth a perfect plan for us. And this is Fillmore again. Actually, no, it's me. I forget which quote's mine, which quote's Fillmore's. I had to look. But yes, we can bring forth that perfect plan for us because it's there in our minds. Now, we have to really look at this a little bit, and we're going to dive into the creative process here in just a minute, because you have to realize that when I say that, the perfect plan for us, this is not like a treasure map. You know, treasure hunt map where you got the X and you go from one point to the next and you have to find your way. It's not like that at all. And yet it's perfectly laid out for us in a way that the creative mind of God is always bringing forth these ideas. Does that make sense? Okay, so it's not a map, and it's not really like a plan like we think of that we were taught in school. You know, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this in order to accomplish this. No, it's not that tedious or that hard to do, because the creative mind has everything already created. And we haven't even experienced this much of it, really, because all that is created is already created. And all we have to do is tap into that creative mind and pull down these ideas, and that's where our path is and plan is in pulling down those creative ideas, keeping our mind open and receptive to the good that is there for us all the time. So we create and we more or less make this plan if we stay in alignment with truth, with God, and if we listen to what the next thing is. It's more like a little baby step, baby step, baby step, to find what we need and to be able to experience all that good that God wants for us. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. See, God is creator and all of creation is done. Now that would scare a lot of people, because they would say, well, if all of creation is done, then how do we create anything more? But we have to think about this on a broader scheme, like I just said. All of creation is really done because God has created everything. It's all there out there in the vast universe of all there is. And just because we haven't experienced it doesn't mean it's not there. And God created it all whenever God created it all. And, yeah, I don't know the timeline. But you know, it's up to us to set a plan saying that we want to have some of that creation in our lives. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Good. Because, you know, when I first read it, I was kind of like thinking, okay, I don't know if this is going to fly or not. But we get to keep discovering new and new and new and new. Yeah. And that's how we evolve. And that's how we evolve spiritually, with each new idea. And it's really kind of a powerhouse of thought if we activate that within ourselves. And think about this. I mean, if you know that there is so much more out there that you haven't experienced, that God has waiting for you, then doesn't that excite you? Doesn't that like give you some inner energy that says, wow? Yes. You know, and it is like that. It doesn't even matter if you're just cleaning out your closet. You're going to get some new ideas, or you're going to have a new experience because you're staying open to that idea, that creative ideas are coming down. Does that make sense? Yes. From the revealing word, the creative process of divine mind are continuously operative. Creation is going on all the time, but the overall plan, the design in divine mind, is finished. This is what I'm saying. Everything that God is finished. We just haven't seen it all. And we probably, well, we could, because it's all there for us. We could experience it all. But we probably won't in our lifetime experience all that there is in the universe. And yet, being able to say that creation is done is a whole different thing than what we were taught, you know. But we were all created in the image and likeness of God, so why wouldn't we be willing to bring forth the image and likeness of God, which is everything in the universe? And this idea is so important to plant in our brains, because that's how we change our consciousness. That's how we change our thoughts. And that's how we align with that oneness of God. And we open up to the awareness so that we can discover more and more and more from the revealing word on creation. The original plan of an idea in spirit is what they say creation is. Back of the visible universe are both the original creative ideas and those that are brought forth as earthly things. Now, we all know that, like Reverend Warren uses this a lot, build a better mousetrap. Well, we all know that there have been ideas out there that have been manifested, been designed, whatever, and then somebody comes along and makes something better, you know, and then something else comes better. And that's the thing. That's exactly how we are right now. We're in this process of bringing forth something better and better and better. And it's great, because even when you look at something that's already done, like say the table, it's already done. It's already been created. But could we make a better table? Could we make a different table? Could we make a table with different legs? Whatever. Yeah. All those ideas are out there, and we can do whatever we want to do. All we have to do is bring it forth and know that that's going to take. I mean, think about this for a minute. Our new church, how many different ways have we gone with that? If you've been here for a while, since we've been here, well, even before we were ever here, they talked about it, and people had ideas, and we've had a ton of meetings on, people having vision, and people brought in their own clippings, and we had a whole wall full of ideas that people wanted in the church, and we made this whole great vision board, and we've changed the size and the style and all of that over time. And each time we adjusted to where we were on the path and what we could do and what we couldn't do. And, it would be real easy to have said, oh, let's just sell that property and forget about building a church, and let's just do something and do nothing. We could all do that.
Yes.
But that is not what we held in consciousness. What we held in consciousness is the idea of a new space for us to have enough room to have classrooms, to have classes, to have activity, to reach out and do more than what we're doing right now, to have bathrooms that are nicer with more than one stall, all of that. And these little things all come together. All these creative ideas come together to manifest whatever it is. And the good part is, wherever we're at right now with all of this, who knows if it'll look exactly like that when it's all said and done. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be greater than we can even imagine. Well, I know it'll be greater than we can even imagine, because I have seen it evolve over time. And it's a beautiful thing. But we don't shut it down, and we don't say, no, I'm not going to take any of this. I'm not going to do it. No, because the consciousness of the people is still here, whether they're alive or one with God now. Their consciousness is still here, urging us forward, along with God's creative ideas that are just like surrounding us and wrapping us up into that idea of going on this plan, this path forward. But God has conceived it for us to bring it forth. Take that in, because I truly believe this. It's not my idea or Reverend Warren's idea or the people that were at this church down in Old Town way before we ever came. It was all the ideas coming forth from the creative energy of God that was already out there sending these ideas forth, and people picked up on these ideas and said, oh yeah, we're not supposed to stay here forever. We're supposed to be doing something more in this community. We want unity and the word of truth out there for so many people that need this and want this and are longing for this. That is coming forth. And that's what is pushing all this forward. Some people think it's just Reverend Warren and I, like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. No, it's not that at all. It's the collective consciousness. And anytime you think, oh God, this is just too much, it pops up in your spirit and says, no, be doing this. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
I hope so.
Yes.
We cannot be fearful about calling on God, our neighbors, our loved ones, or strangers on the street to help bring to fruition and manifestation this perfect idea from God. There is too much of our consciousness wrapped up into this idea of this new building or this new campus. And we know that it's going to take more than just the people sitting here. But that's when we aren't afraid. We ask God first, and then we move forward by, asking other people or telling people. Or the best way is to share a story. Are you with me?
Yes.
Great. And I've got a story to share for you after this next quote. Because from Jesus Christ Heals, Fillmore wrote, "It is very comforting to know that Spirit is cooperating with us in our efforts to manifest God's law." Isn't that great? It's that reassurance. It's that knowing. It's that faith. That powerhouse of faith saying, hey, God is with you, and God is going to bring forth all that you need to bring forth and manifest. God, in His divine perfection, has seemed so far removed from human frailties that we have lost our heart. And I think that happens. It happens on a day-to-day basis sometimes for us. One minute we're full and vibrant and filled with the Spirit of God, and the next minute the plumbing goes out. You know what happens if that happens. Yeah. It's not a pretty thing, is it? But now we see that Jesus taught that God is intimately associated with us in all our life's problems, and that we need only ask in order to have all needs fulfilled. That was one of the lessons Jesus taught us on this earth, and we are here to manifest these lessons, to bring forth the lessons that God has, that Jesus had taught us. Anyway, so we can call on God in any situation, and here's my personal story. And I call it my miracle story, and I know some of you have heard it before, but it was a time when I called on God, and this was huge for me, and so here it goes. This was my salon, my first salon, or my last salon. I mean, not first, the last salon I had. And this was in Salon Today magazine, that picture, because I won an award. But anyway, when before this happened, I had another salon, my first salon, and my husband at the time, not Warren, but my husband at the time, he had spent $40,000 out of my bank account, and I didn't realize it over a 6-month period, but still I didn't realize it until I had 2 payroll tax checks bounce from the IRS, 2 quarters. And back then I was making lots of money, and I never opened my bank statements. I threw them in a box and took them to my accountant at the end of the year. And so when I realized these checks had bounced, I was kind of at the end with this marriage anyway, and so of course I got divorced. But everything kind of spiraled from that point. It really did. It spiraled down. And I had to restructure how I paid my employees, because the IRS wouldn't let me have straight employees anymore. I had to pay them as subcontractors because I couldn't, they wouldn't allow me to take out taxes out of their checks because they thought that I would spend the money again, which I didn't spend it, he did, but still. And I had to pay all that money back plus interest, which was 100%, which was a lot of money. Anyway, so I had to restructure my payroll, and my employees all quit me, which really kind of messed up my whole system because, I was used to that income and everything. And of course, then things started spiraling down more, and I lost that business. And I tried to open up another salon, and that kind of failed too. Well, it did fail. And I ended up in a bigger mess, really, because I ended up losing my house, which, this is all just piling on, just crazy. And it was a result of losing all that income, and really, because I let myself go down in this funk, And then eventually I lost my car, but that's a whole different story about a whole different other person. But anyway, in the meantime, at the same time, my mom made her transition. So that kind of just made me go plop. And, I was down and depressed, and didn't do anything for weeks because I was just out of it. And I had a few friends reach out to me, but nobody in my family, was communicating with me or anything because I was always the caregiver for all them. They expected me to go take care of all them, and I wasn't in the frame of mind to do that. So that made me even more depressed. But I finally decided, I needed to do something different. I had to get myself out of this. And so I went to work at a colleague's salon and, started rebuilding. Now, a lot of my clients had started going to people in that salon, which was fine because I knew if I built it once, I could build it again. And if you build it, they will come. Mm-hmm. So I was back to doing what I loved to do and what made me happy. And I was feeling so much better. And then one of my clients came to me, and he was the CFO of this shopping center. And this was the salon at Happiness Plaza. Happiness Plaza was the shopping center. So he comes, I cut his hair every month. He came in and he says, hey, the salon over there, we want to find somebody new to run it and stuff. And he said, we're evicting the guy that's in there. There's only one guy in there now, and he's not paying rent, so we're evicting him. And I said, Chris, I don't have any money. I can't do this. And he said, just come look at it. Just come look at it. So I went over there and went in and looked around and everything, and we talked, and I talked to the owner, and it was really kind of amazing because I was being all cool, Oh yeah, I could see where I could do something here, just being all coy and everything. So I get back in my car and I leave, and because they said, figure out what you want to do, let us know, blah blah blah. So I get in the car. I drive down the street, pull over, and I'm like, okay, God, if you do this for me, I swear I'll go to Verlene's church. Just let me get this salon. And so I've had this overwhelming feeling and everything. So I go over to my girlfriend's. She was my nail tech through all of this. And so I go over to her house and I said, oh, no, I got to make this happen, But I said, I don't have any money. I don't know what I'm going to do. She said, well, I help you get it painted and started and all this, So I said, okay. So I came up with this plan that I was going to not pay rent for 3 months. I was going to buy all the equipment in there for pennies on the dollar and all the fixtures and everything, but I wasn't going to pay them for 6 months. And the first year rent after those 3 months, when I started paying they had a price for what they were getting for rent at that time. Of course, they weren't getting it from the guy because he wasn't paying. But anyway, I gave them like a tenth of what they were asking for the first year. And then I said after that, 3 years after that, each year we just increased a little bit till we got to the point of what their rent was at the end of that time. So I went in there, gave them the spiel. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, okay.
Smart business.
But the guy said, it was Chris and Brad and Mark. Mark and Brad were brothers. Anyway, they said, okay, we'll take it. And I was just like, okay. And they gave me the keys and said, we'll have the lease ready tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. So it was kind of funny about this place, though, because when I was in beauty school, this is where everybody wanted to go out of beauty school because it was really posh. It was the place to be. And the woman that owned it, her name was Fran. So it was kind of funny that I ended up getting it after her, and she loved it that I got it. But anyway, I had no idea this was going to happen. I had no idea that this plan was even going to be there for me. I didn't even know in my head if this was going to work. But, the minute I asked God to help me, it changed everything. And in that moment, I wouldn't know if I would have said that God was the one that changed it all for me, because I still hadn't been to Verlene's church yet. But that very next Sunday, I went into Verlene's church, and it was a Unity church, Unity of Wichita. I sat down, and the first message I heard was, I knew this is where I needed to be, and this is what I needed. And I was there every Sunday after that. I never missed a Sunday. And it was because it was like, oh my gosh, this is truth. This is exactly it. And from there, everything changed and everything got better and everything was wonderful. And And the cool part was that we don't ever know what's out there for us or what the plan really is. But we have to be willing to be open and receptive and to allow those creative ideas to come through us. I mean, that whole idea of what I offered was crazy. But they took it because I just was like, okay, God, you got to help me figure this out. And when those numbers came to me, it was like, okay. And then, it's kind of like taking a deep breath and jumping in, and I had to go tell them what my deal was. And that was like, they're going to think I'm insane. But because God was behind me, it wasn't insane. And when you share these kinds of...
So was that after you
got... After. Well, this was the first remodel I did, yeah. And then I did another one after this. And because, see, there's like, this is salon up here too. And behind this wall, this is actually like a pony wall, but the ceilings were so high. And that's a doorway, and there's a doorway over here. But when you go through there, that was like the dryer room to begin with and everything. And then we put some nail techs back in there. And then as you go through there, on the opposite side was a bridal store. I ended up expanding clear over into that. Wow. And then there was a space next to that I went into a little bit. And and all that got remodeled. And now the gal that bought it from me, how many years ago was that? 2006. She changed it too, because this was really kind of a gray, marbly look, and this was wallpaper, and the rest of the walls were actually like a light gray blue. But in the professional photos, and this I actually took that picture out of the magazine a couple days ago because I couldn't find I have one framed, but I couldn't find it. And I found this in a container, so I said, I'll just take a picture of it. But anyway, we had new stations too.
When you came out of there after you got everything, did you say, thank you, God?
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I say that all the time because I was so blessed. But my whole point of this is, like, our blessings that we've had, it doesn't matter how big a blessing it is. Because the minute you have a blessing, you need to be able to share that blessing with other people so that other people will go, oh, wow, yeah, I can receive that blessing too. I can be open and receptive to the good that's coming my way. And that's why we have to speak up, and we have to go back and ask God to help us know who to talk to and how we can receive more blessings on everything that we're doing. And every one of these stories are worth repeating, because once we share from our heart something that made a difference in our lives, and especially if it made a huge difference in your life, you've got to share it. Yes?
I was sitting on I-20 with no traffic moving at 11:20, and I said to myself, I need to turn myself around and go home. But your story about the beauty parlor is very similar to some experiences I've had just like it with optical stores.
Yeah.
And I am so blessed that I kept on
coming down the road. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's true, and we have to just embrace those stories and share them. I mean, a lot of people will come to Unity if they hear one of your stories that you were blessed with something. Even people just saying, oh, they prayed for me for healing, and I healed. Or I was praying for a new job, and I got this great new job. Those are little blessings that we have. Being stuck in the traffic and getting the message, no, you're not going to turn around, you're going to keep on going. That's a blessing. That you tell people, hey, I received so much from that. And we have to be there, because when we share our ideas and our experiences, other people can go, wow, I want to have those experiences and blessings too. And how do I get those? And then they'll find their way here. They will, because we're holding the consciousness of all that have come before us, and all those that are one with God, and all those that are here right now. And if we're holding that, then people will come in that are supposed to be here. And I say, we never know where our path will take us, but we can know God's plan, and we can know it will always be good. Thank you for being here today. God bless you.